Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me officially start today's event. On behalf of Technology Center Prague, I'd like to welcome you at today's event. As you know, this is the National Information Day focused specifically on one of Marie Skłodowska-Curie action schemes, namely the MSCA COFUND. For those who don't know me yet, my name is Lyudmyla Tysyachna. I'm the national contact point for ERC and MSCA, and I will navigate you throughout today's event. For those who don't know, who haven't seen it yet, this event will be recorded. So I hope you are fine with this. And as you will see, all the questions will be raised in anonymous mode, so I hope you agree. And if everything goes according to the plan, this event will be uploaded on our YouTube channel then. So on the screen, you can already see the agenda for today. We have 4 main points. After each of the sessions, there will be a Q&A part. You will have plenty of room for questions, so I hope that you will take the opportunity and raise anything that you have on your mind. The main point, not to forget how to raise the questions. So for today, please do not use the chat function because it will be hard to follow. I have created Slido. To log in, please use the hashtag COFUND. So this is how we will proceed with the Q&A today. And I think this is it for the introduction, and I can start with the first point, which is focused on the participation so far in the MSCA. I will actually start a bit more generally. I will introduce the MSCA first. Please mute yourself. I can hear somebody so that it doesn't interfere. Thank you. So the MSCA is the flagship European Union program for supporting career development and training of researchers. It does so via mobility and exposure to the non-academic sector. It has been here since 1996, and it is an integral part of the current framework program called Horizon Europe. Structurally, it belongs to the first pillar called Excellent Science. It is grouped together with the ERC and research infrastructures. So this is the MSCA, and the program has developed 5 distinct schemes. The one we will focus on today is the COFUND. More precisely, it is called the MSCA Co-Funding of Regional, National and International Programs. So the name indicates many things, and you will hear later on how it works in practice. My part will be very introductory to show you some general trends, as well as point out what's the success rate of the Czech Republic and the level of participation. So firstly, let's see who the beneficiaries are more generally. As you can see, this is the comparison of Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe. The academic institutions are the ones who comprise the majority of beneficiaries, of those who actually coordinate, let's say, the whole network. Interestingly, however, the share of academic institutions is even larger in Horizon Europe, as the number or the percentage of non-academic institutions acting as beneficiaries has shrunk to 7% from 15% in Horizon 2020. But of course, this is based on 2 calls only, so we will see how it goes on. Concerning the success rate, it has fluctuated, let's say, quite a lot throughout the years. The highest success rate was recorded in 2016 with 31.5%, and the lowest success rate could be seen the year after. It was 17.7% in 2017. In Horizon Europe, I would say the success rate is near to the average, so it's quite expected, I would say. A very frequent question that we get is, what is the cutoff score of the last proposal that got onto the main list? So it was proposed to be funded. As you can see, in the last two calls, it was quite equal. It was around 20 to 92%, sorry. And it is quite a competitive scheme. So the toughest competition was again in 2017. So it was needed to achieve 93.4 for doctoral programs and 93.6% for postdoctoral programs. And now let's speak about the co-funding rate. As you know, the rules have changed, and you will hear more about that later on. So the co-funding rate is now free. You can decide based on your needs how much co-funding you need. And from our experience, it varies mostly between 30 to 70%. So this is a cross-country comparison of the number of submitted and funded projects in Horizon Europe. I have not ranked the countries according to the success rate, but by the number of supported projects. So the most successful country is Spain, followed by France and Finland and Ireland. As you can see, the interest in the Czech Republic is relatively high. Actually, it is the same as in the Netherlands for now. So 1/5 of Czech proposals got the funding for now. This is the same data, but seen from another angle. It is based on the financial contribution the EU by the EU financial contribution, so who got the most funding essentially from the EU, and which of the two subtypes it was intended for. So the projects vary significantly in their size. Some projects are bigger than others, and this is why here the rating is a bit different. Some countries, such as France, for instance, focus solely, for now, have focused solely on one of the subtypes. And this is also the case of the Czech Republic. We will see how it progresses. But other countries, such as Spain, for instance, are quite equally interested in both schemes. And this is a chart with Czech participation in this scheme so far in Horizon Europe. So we have two beneficiaries, as you know, and you will have the opportunity to interact with them today. This is the Central Bohemian Innovation Center and the Institute of Physics of the Czech Academy of Sciences. Both are postdoctoral programs. And then we have over 40 associated partners involved in the COFUND scheme. So you have the list of those who are involved in 2 projects, and then there are 42 other entities with 1 participation. As you can see, there is a stark difference or contrast between the level of interest in the doctoral programs and postdoctoral programs. So the Czech entities have been so far much more interested in the postdoctoral programs. Before we move on to the next point, I'd like to mention another program existing at the national level, which is an encouragement for you to try to apply. It is a synergetic scheme. It is called MSCA COFUND CZ, and it is funded from the operational program Johannes Amos Comenius. If you get over 85% or over in the MSCA COFUND scheme in Horizon Europe, then you can apply for this support. It is for those who do not get the funding from the EU, but still got the Seal of Excellence label. So in 2022, we got one proposal like that, and we hope that this proposal will be funded by the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sports via this program. And one last point for me concerns the upcoming COFUND calls. The calendar, as it's known, will most probably change for the next two calls because the European Commission needs to move on with the dates due to its financial rules. So these are the expected calls, and we are expecting that the two calls will be in short sequence, one after another. So if you do not make it to this year's call, very shortly there will be another one, so that you know. We expect that the dates will be confirmed in spring of next year, so shortly before the 2024 call is open. And that is basically it from my side for now. I will stop sharing. And now we can move on to the next speaker. I'm very pleased to have the representative of the European Commission here, Ms. Alexandra Pedersen, who kindly agreed to join us today and introduce the upcoming or the currently open already call and the rules for participation. So please, Alexandra, the floor is yours. I'm not sure, do you still see my presentation? Because it's a bit confusing.
No, it's fine now. It's fine now. We don't see it anymore, so it's good.
Okay, all right.
Thank you very much, Lyudmyla, for this introduction and interesting presentation. Good morning, everyone. My name is Alexandra Pedersen. I am currently the co-coordinator for the COFUND action. I also work as a project officer, and it's a pleasure for me to be here today to give an overview of the action, and I will be happy to answer any questions that you may have after my presentation. So I will start by sharing my screen so I can share the presentation. Just bear with me a minute. So I hope it's okay.
Yes, I confirm it's okay.
Super, good. So as I said, so I'll be focusing today in one of the MSCA actions which were presented. The list was presented earlier by Lyudmyla, so my focus will be on the MSCA COFUND. So we started by the definition. So what is MSCA COFUND? What is this action? So COFUND is a mono-beneficiary action which aims at co-funding new or existing national, regional institution schemes for doctoral training or postdoctoral fellowships. What do we want to achieve with COFUND? Basically, what we want to spread the best practice of the MSCA schemes by promoting high standards in the recruitment process and also to provide excellent working conditions to the fellows. We also want to introduce sustainable structuring effects by promoting excellent and sustainable research training, international, intersectoral, and interdisciplinary cooperation and mobility. And we also would like to encourage synergies with the cohesion policy funds, as well as with the recovery and resiliency facility. In the past, for instance, we have had programs which were focused on the smart specialization strategies, for instance. And what are the modalities that we have? We have two modalities. We have what we call the doctoral programs and the postdoctoral programs. So the doctoral programs, they offer research training activities to allow the doctoral candidates to develop and broaden their skills and competences. Those training programs must lead to the award of the doctoral degree in at least one of the EU member states or Horizon Europe associated countries. And the training activities must be based in the EU principles on innovative doctoral training. Now, the postdoctoral programs, they fund individual advanced research training and career development fellowships for postdoctoral researchers. The training program should offer training to develop key transferable skills and competences which are common to all fields. They should foster innovation, and they should also encourage and reward open science practices. Now, who can apply for the COFUND action? Any single legal entity established in an EU member state or Horizon Europe associated country. All beneficiaries, I would say each beneficiary must recruit at least 3 researchers, and this is a minimum requirement. So the beneficiaries are required to host at their premises and supervise the recruited researcher, or depending on the structure of the program proposed, they could also use the implementing partners linked to beneficiaries to provide this training. Both academic and non-academic sectors can participate. We have seen that Lyudmyla has presented the statistics for the Czech Republic. So both sectors are welcome to participate. And when we talk here about the academic sector, we are referring to public or private higher education establishments, public or private non-profit research organizations, or international European research organizations. So any other institution that does not fall into this category that I have just described, into this list of the academic sector, would then be considered the non-academic sector. Now, what are the possible structures that we can have under COFUND? The first one that you see in the slide is what we call hierarchical. In that case, you see a research funding organization acting as the beneficiary, and you see partners. In that case, you see universities, you see laboratories, implementing different parts of the training program. In that structure, as the name says, basically the research funding organization is taking care of the funds, and the partners are then implementing the action. The second possible structure is what we call horizontal structure. In that case, in that example, we have a university acting as the beneficiary, and we have other partners, in that case, universities, laboratories. We could also have the private sector involved implementing the program. So that depends very much, of course, on the research and training proposed, but it could be, for instance, that you have different areas, different fields involved in the training program, and you have different partners taking care of different fields, different areas. Or you could also have, for instance, a private institution taking care of secondments or provide any additional training. So everything is possible. It depends on what is proposed and how you want to implement in the training program. And the third structure, which is also possible, is what we call single point, where we have just one single beneficiary which does everything. This is also possible. There's nothing, let's say, it's not, there is this flexibility, but of course it all depends on the training program proposed. It depends on the number of researchers that you want to recruit. It depends on the number of areas that you wanted to offer the training. So there is no right or wrong. So if it's, for instance, a small training program, it could maybe be justified to have just one beneficiary doing everything. So it's also a possibility. Then, in case you have partners involved, as I said, it's also possible. We have what we call the implementing partners. These are legal entities which are receiving financial contribution via the beneficiary, and they are also implementing the action. So they implement either the doctoral or the postdoctoral scheme. And in that case, those entities can employ the researchers. And then we have what we call associated partners, which are entities that participate in the action, but they are not employ the researchers. They are participating, for instance, by providing training or hosting researchers. They could provide secondments. However, they do not have the right to claim any contributions. So different from the implementing partners, where they claim contributions via the beneficiary, the associated partners do not claim any contribution. Now some rules that we have regarding to the co-funding. Each beneficiary can have a maximum of 10 million euros per call. This remains unchanged compared to Horizon 2020. So yeah, nothing has been changing in that in the amount of co-funding. With regarding to the duration, each program can have a maximum duration of 60 months. However, each individual fellowship must have a minimum duration of 3 months. And this was exactly the same under Horizon 2020. With regard to the recruitment, I mentioned that earlier, each fellow must be recruited for a minimum duration of 3 months. And the vacancies must be advertised under EUR-Access, and that is not only the beneficiary should use as many communication channels as he or she likes to reach as many researchers as possible. However, the requirement to publish in EUR-Access is a requirement by the grant agreement. So the vacancies must be published there. Now, with regard to the eligible researchers, for the doctoral programs under Horizon Europe, the researchers must not have a doctoral degree at the deadline of the co-funded programs call, and it's mandatory that they are enrolled in a doctoral program. For the postdoctoral researchers, the researchers must have a doctoral degree at the deadline of the co-funded programs call. They can be of any nationality. There is no restrictions with regard to that. However, they must respect the mobility rule, which is they must not have resided or carried out their main activities in the country of the recruiting beneficiary or implementing partner for more than 12 months in the 36 months immediately before the deadline of the co-funded programs call. I would like to draw your attention to this slide because in the last call, we still had some mistakes made by the applicants with some eligibility requirements that now have changed compared to Horizon 2020. The first one is the researcher eligibility. As you see there on the slide, the full-time equivalent research experience no longer applies. So under the Horizon Europe, it's only the degree that counts. As I have just mentioned, in the case of the doctoral program, the researchers must not have the degree at the deadline of the co-funded programs call. And for the postdoctoral scheme, they must have the doctoral degree at the deadline of the co-funded programs call. The research experience is no longer valid here, no longer applies, but we still saw a few cases of some applicants that they were mentioning the researcher experience or the degree, which used to be the case under Horizon 2020. So be very careful with that, because as I said, it's only the degree that applies now. The EU contribution that we offer covers the minimum remuneration required and can be used more flexibly. So now the unit contribution that we pay per researcher month covers the minimum salary required, covers the amount that the beneficiary is expected to pay. Under Horizon 2020 was not the case because the beneficiary had to provide a top-up in order to reach the minimum amount required. And under Horizon 2020 as well, the amount that we paid was supposed to cover the salary of the researcher. Now, under Horizon 2020, this amount can be used more flexibly. So there are two changes there. The first, as I said, because the amount that we pay cover the minimum salary required, but the beneficiary can also use that amount to cover other costs, other costs from the training program. It could be that the training program has other cost categories. So that's what we mean when we say that this amount can be used more flexibly. There is a possibility under Horizon Europe to apply for a long-term leave allowance and a special needs allowance. I will talk more about this in the next slides. The secondments now, the duration, they have to be up to 1/3 of the fellowship duration. And as mentioned earlier by Lyudmyla, we also had the introduction of the MSCA COFUND Seal of Excellence for proposal scoring equal or higher than 85%. Now, concerning the award criteria, well, I'm not going to talk very much in detail about this. I see that you have a presentation about this later on. So I will provide with a general overview here, but I will bring some aspects which are quite important. So when the evaluators are assessing the proposal submitted, what they get basically it's the core documents. So everything that you will have access in the portal, meaning the guide for applicants, the work program, the proposal template, and those are the documents that they will get in order to make the assessment of your proposal. So what I wanted to emphasize here that it's really important when you decide to apply to COFUND, when you are drafting your proposal, it's very important that you have all the core documents, of course, but it's very important that you have the proposal template as a guide of the aspects that you're supposed to address. As you see, we have 3 criteria there. We have the excellent, impact, and an implementation. You see the different weights there. So we have 50% for excellent, 30% for impact, 20% for implementation. They are equally important. So for you to increase your chances of get your proposal funded, it's very important that you address them very well. And in order to do that, you need to make sure that you address the 3 criteria, of course, but all the different sub-criteria involved. So in order to do that, as I said, if you download the proposal template there, you get a very detailed explanation that of all the aspects that you are supposed to address in every single criteria. So you should have that as a guidance, because as I said, that's the guidance that the evaluator will have when he's assessing your proposal. So the evaluator will check, okay, those are the aspects that are supposed to be assessed. Have those things be addressed or not? And how well have those things been addressed? So as I said, there is the detailed explanation in the proposal template. So there you have more details about the criteria and the different sub-criteria. But talking, as I said, in a more general way here, what we expect you to address under excellence is the selection and recruitment process of the researchers. We want to make sure that you propose a selection and recruitment process that is transparent, that is fair, that is merit-based, that provides the equal opportunity to all the researchers applying. We also wanted to address the appointment conditions of the researchers, including the competitiveness of the salary. This aspect specifically used to be addressed under implementation in the past, under Horizon 2020, and now has changed to excellent, because this is a very important aspect, and we want to make sure that the researchers get very good working conditions, very good appointment conditions. Under excellence, again, you are expected to address the research options offered by the program, the quality of open science practices, the research and training program, including the transferable skills, the multidisciplinary aspects, intersectory as well as gender. We also are expected to address the supervision and career guidance. Under impact, again, you are expected to address the practice that you propose in strengthen the human resources at the institutional, regional, national, or international level. We wanted to see you addressing the credibility of the measures that you propose to enhance the career perspectives and employability of the fellows. We also, under implementation, wanted to address the work plan, the management structures. That's what I presented to you earlier. And as I said, there is not good or bad. It all depends on the training program that you are proposing. Just make sure that whatever you propose, it's well justified. Okay, there could be, we have had cases of small programs in the past. We have cases of bigger program. As Lyudmyla said earlier, there is a big variety of sizes. So it all depends on what you propose and how well justified it is. And of course, you need to make sure that you have the capacity to implement in the program, either if it's just just a single beneficiary, or if you have partners involved. Moving on to the budget structure and implementation, there is some new cost categories compared to Horizon 2020. As I said, we have the long-term leave allowance and a special needs allowance. Those categories can be requested at any point during the project implementation. And you see as well the amount for the COFUND allowance. For the doctoral programs, we have 2,800 euros. And for the postdoctoral programs, we have 3,908 euros. This is the minimum remuneration required. And that in that amount, it already includes both fellows and employers' social contributions. The applicants must specify the total budget of the co-funded program now under excellence. You will see there in the proposal template under the excellence section that there will be a table where you are supposed to specify the amounts that will be provided for the benefit of the researchers and for the organizations that will implement the program. And it's in there also the evaluators will be able to assess the appointment conditions that you will be offering to the fellows. Some more novelties compared to Horizon 2020, because I think we are still in the beginning of Horizon Europe, so it's I think it's still worth to mention this and to draw your attention to this. As I said already, the EU contribution covers the minimum remuneration and can be used more flexibly. Now, about the new cost category, we have as I said, the long-term leave allowance, and this category is used to cover personal costs of incurred by beneficiaries when the researchers leave for a longer period of it could be longer period, it could be maternity leave, paternity leave, or any sick or special leave that is longer than 30 consecutive days. And we also have the special needs allowance to contribute to additional costs for researchers that have disabilities. It could be that they need some specific items or services. It could be maybe they required some specific equipment. Maybe the equipment needs to be adapted, or they needed some assistance by third persons. So this sort of things can be requested at any point during the project implementation. So that's what I have just said, that the both categories of those new cost categories can be requested when the need arises. Now, with regard to the project implementation, each beneficiary or implementing partner must recruit the researcher under a full contract of employment with full social security benefits. The only case where we would have an exception is in the case where the law forbids a contract of employment to be provided. But I can tell you from experience, this is very rare. Most of the programs are able to provide full contracts of employment, but well, in the case that there is a situation where this is not possible, then we would offer a fixed amount fellowship, and then the living allowance would be halved. But still, the beneficiary would have to make sure that a minimum social security coverage is offered to the researcher. This I mentioned earlier. As I said, the selection of researchers must follow an open, transparent, merit-based, impartial, and equitable selection procedure. The vacancies must be internationally advertised and published, including on air access, which is a requirement by the grant agreement. And the selection must be based on international peer review for the postdoctoral programs. Having said that, even though the international peer review is mandatory for the postdoctoral programs, of course, the doctoral programs could have international peer review if they wish, but if they do not have the international peer review, because it's not a requirement for the doctoral, it's very important, of course, that the evaluators involved in the selection process are fully independent. And when I mean independent, they should not be related to the beneficiary and partners. Of course, you could have some evaluators that have some sort of relation there. Of course, fully there should be no conflict of interest, of course, but it's very important that that the committees, the selection committees, are well balanced, and that in order to ensure there is a transparent and fair process. So we want to have a good balance between, let's say, evaluators if linked to partners and beneficiaries, and evaluators fully independent, not related to the partners and the beneficiary. The training program shall offer a wide variety of opportunities for researchers to experience secondments, including intersectoral ones, and to benefit from training in research or transferable skills, as well as from innovative and interdisciplinarity elements of the proposed program. Doctoral and postdoctoral researchers should be devoted to the training on a full-time basis. However, part-time can be allowed for personal or family reasons with a prior agreement of the REA, in that case of the project officer. Part-time for professional reasons can only be requested for postdoctoral researchers. Now, the details of the forthcoming calls. So the 2023 call has already opened, has recently opened on the 10th of October, and will close on the 8th of February next year with a budget of 96.57 million. For the 2024 call, if you check in the portal today, that's the dates that will appear today. So opening in October and closing in February 2025. However, as Lyudmyla said, it's very, very likely that those dates will change. So we will have the COFUND 2024 opening in April 2024 and closing in September 2024. So, which means we will have 2 evaluations next year. So if you don't have time to apply to the code that already opened, there is an opportunity for you to apply to the upcoming 2024 call. And thus the date will be updated sometime in the spring. And with regard to the budget for the 2024 call, we have 99.28 million euros. Well, that's all for me. I hope I could provide you with a good overview. And if there are any questions, I will be more than happy to answer them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alexandra. It was perfect. So we have 4 questions in Slido. I will share the Slido. Still feel free to post anything you wish. Just a second. I hope it is the right window. And the first question is, what does it mean the deadline of the co-funded programs call Is it 8th February 2024 or deadline of approved MSc project?
Okay, so the deadline of the co-funded programs, that's why I always say that, because it differs from project to project. So basically, this will be defined on your proposal. So that will be the date of the data that you propose for your deadline. So the co-funded programs call, so it's not the deadline of the co-fund call, but the deadline that that the beneficiary you propose for his call. Is that clear?
I believe so. Thank you.
Yes.
Minimum duration of a fellowship is 3 months. What is the maximum duration of a fellowship?
Okay. So there is no maximum duration as such. Normally, I would say that the postdoctorals would have a duration between 2 and 3 years, normally, but it doesn't have to be like that. However, for the doctoral program, that was very interesting questions, because for the doctoral program, the duration of the individual doctoral scheme would have to be the amount required for the fellow to get the PhD degree in that country. So normally I would say it tends to be around 48 months normally, but of course it depends on each country, how long it takes for the researchers to get the PhD degree. Okay, and that would be the minimum required in the case of the doctoral scheme.
Thank you. I believe this question is not for today's event because it focuses on different scheme, and we will of course have events, specific events later on. So I will just skip this. What does it mean that applicants to the doctoral program are supposed to be enrolled in a PhD program? Can fresh MA, MS, Masters of Science holders apply?
Wow. It means that they must be enrolled. It means that they must apply to get the PhD degree. There must be, the training program must lead to the PhD degree. That's when I think that they must be enrolled in a PhD program. And can fresh MA master's holder apply? Normally, yes, normally, but of course it depends on the criteria which is designed by the institution. Normally I would say yes, but it depends if they have to comply with the mobility rule. They should have a master degree. They should definitely not have the PhD degree yet. But sometimes the programs could have other criteria that the applicants would have to comply. So it depends, I would say. But normally, yes, I would say.
Thank you. I believe the question, I got a similar question, whether they should already be enrolled in a PhD program when they're applying to the COFUND program, or if they can be just, freshly graduated.
Ah, I see the question. Yeah. No, they should not. They should not yet be enrolled. Once they apply to the COFUND, the enrollment will be done via the COFUND program, because they will be enrolled in the COFUND program. This, when I say it must be enrolled, that's for the beneficiary or implementing partner institution implementing the program. They must enroll the researcher into a PhD program.
Thank you. How many projects do you expect to approve support in the 2023 call?
Impossible to say that, because it all depends on the sizes of the budget. We have the total budget, and then the proposals are scored. We have a ranking list, and then we start adding up the budget until the budget is over. So it's impossible to say. It depends. There has been in the past, fewer proposals being awarded because the budgets were big, and other years more proposed because the budgets were smaller. So it's impossible to answer that question.
Thank you. And the very last question that we have in Slido, what is the beneficiary minimum own contribution to the budget, postdoctoral scheme?
There is no minimum required. This is a very interesting question because sometimes people think there is a minimum co-funding percentage that they should bring into the action, and that's really not the case. So when the applicant proposes the training scheme, as I mentioned, there will be a section under excellence where the beneficiary is expected to specify the budget and the different cost categories that is there. And then he will specify as well how many researchers he aims to recruit. And then, as I said, we pay a unit contribution per researcher month, times, of course, the duration of each individual fellowship scheme. And that will be the total EU contribution. And that's what we pay. However, this percentage will all depend on the total cost of the program proposed and will vary. You know, as Lyudmyla was showing earlier, you know, I think you said between 30%, wasn't it, that you were mentioning earlier in terms of the
Yes.
percentage for, so it depends. There's no specific co-funding amount as such. In principle, now under horizon year, in principle, you could even not put anything at all, let's say, in principle. But of course, I have my doubts if that would be a good training scheme if you have just the unit contribution and no other research cost category there, because it makes you wonder, you know, but there is no such a requirement. Okay, so it all depends.
Thank you. So this is it from Slido. And I actually also received one question before the event in the registration. It is very similar to what you have just said, but I will just reiterate that. And if you wish to add anything to that, just a second. I'll quickly find it. So the question says, can the 50% of co-funding be paid as in-kind, simply redirecting some costs the institution incurs, now labeling them as MSCA co-funding, in case, of course, it is considered as co-funding activities, such as cost of consumable, costs related to development of trainings and training execution, costs that are covered from ESF, and so on. So if you can quickly answer that.
Sure. So to start with, again, there is no percentage of co-funding, just to start. This 50% does not exist. It could be that somebody will co-finance 50%, that the beneficiary partners will contribute with 50%, but it doesn't have to be. So that's the first thing. The second thing, as I mentioned earlier, the unit contribution we pay now under Horizon Europe can be used more flexibly. So we do pay the minimum salary of the researcher with that amount, which is good, but it doesn't mean that you have to pay the salary of research. I mean, you still have to pay the salary of research, but not necessarily with the amount that comes from us, you know? So you have to pay that minimum amount, okay? But you, no, I missed what I was going to say, apologies. So basically, you cover this minimum salary, okay, with the amount, but you could use that amount to cover any other cost category, which is part of the program that you are proposing, okay? It doesn't have to be like this. So that's to say, on the Horizon Europe, there is more flexibility to spend the unit costs, let's say, as you like, because the researcher, as I said, will get this minimum amount, and then the beneficiary, the partners, will be able to decide how they can manage the funds more efficiently, the way they like, really. So the only thing I think it's very important to keep in mind is this. There is no right amount for this co-financing, this percentage of contribution, whether it's 30, 40, 50, and 70. There is not right or wrong. It will all depend on the program that you are proposing, okay? But just make sure, and that's something that now that is very important to say, at least for this call and for the 2023 call, it's very important that in case you have partners involved, that you provide a letter of commitment, because if there is financial contribution coming from the partners, the evaluators will check for this letter of commitment to make me sure that there is some sort of reasonable assurance that this contribution will come, okay? This for 2023 call. So when I talked about implementing partners and associated partners, in case they bring financial contribution, not only financial contribution, but I would say especially financial contribution, make sure that this contribution is stated in the letter of commitment there, okay? So as I said as well, there is not right or wrong as such. You could only have just one beneficiary doing everything. So the program could be big. Just if it's big, make sure that it's feasible to implement, not over-ambitious. It has to be convincing to evaluators. And if it's small, there is nothing wrong with regarding to be small, but it just needed to be well justified. So we have had in the past projects that had 3 or less than 10 researchers. It is possible, but I think it's very important that this, whatever you are proposing, it's well justified, because the evaluators say, okay, this makes sense, makes not sense. And if there is money coming from partners, they wanted to, have some reasonable assurance, as I said, that the money is coming. Because if there is this contribution and the letter is not there, this contribution will not be taken into account during the evaluation. It could be the proposal is still good, but it could be that it could kill the proposal. So it depends on the role, on the size of the financial contribution. So just make sure that it's included in the proposal, and whatever you propose, it's justified. I think that's a good advice I can give you. Yeah, I hope I answered. I think I answered a bit more than what was asked, but I think it's relevant to mention this.
Yes, it's very appreciated. Thank you. Actually, we have 2 more questions now in Slido, so I will share it once again. 3 more. So the first question is, you have mentioned at some point synergies with other programs. Would you please give us more details? Well, you can, of course, but in the Czech Republic, we do not have any program offering co-funding. So in the Czech Republic, we have only alternative funding scheme funded from the from operational program, from cohesion funds, but this is not, you can't use it for co-funding of your project proposals. But I believe in some countries it is the case, they can use it. So this is briefly this. This seems more like a statement. Even with the flexibility of using the COFUND funds for any cost, it is difficult to use other than institutional funds to fund the program by an institution. So it basically says that, once again, confirms the previous question if they can use institutional funding and use it as co-funding in this scheme.
Yes, they can use, and as I said again, it all depends on the the program proposed, really. You know, it depends if you have contribution from other partners involved. We offer the unit contribution. That's what we offer. But how the beneficiary or beneficiary and partners will organize, you know, the costs and how they will manage those costs, then it's really up to the beneficiary and partners, if any, you know. But we offer the flexibility at least, you know, in case they want to cover this, use the unit contribution to cover institutional funds, for instance. Yeah, that is a possibility.
Thank you. And the very last question, it seems, will the Commission consider issuing guidance for synergy funding similar to the one used for the teaming program?
Okay, I am myself not familiar with the teaming program to start, but I can bring raise these points to my colleagues at DG AC, which is probably to do the policy, and then you see. I cannot comment on this question, but I can definitely suggest as a way forward, maybe. Yes.
Thank you very much. I'm also not familiar with the teaming guidance, so I can't comment on that, to what degree this is doable and relevant for this particular scheme. But this is a good suggestion. So I will stop sharing. And if we do not have any further questions, as it seems, we will now have a very long break because our evaluator is not yet here, so he can't present yet. So we, last time I believe we had many more questions, so I was very generous when writing the program, and I gave you more room than needed probably. So we will just have a very long break, and we will come back as scheduled at 11:40. If there is a change, I will let you know, so please do not disconnect. I will just write in the chat if I manage to find our evaluator and just if he is available earlier. Other than that, I will very much would like to thank to Alexandra for being here with us. And if you have any further questions, you can still use the Slido. If I'm not able to answer, I will ask Alexandra later on, so you will receive it in written form after the event. And this is it for now. So we will have a long break. And I will let you know, as I said, if we resume a bit earlier, if I manage to get in touch with our evaluator. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'd like to welcome our next speaker, who is Mr. Bohdan Růžička, and he will be talking precisely about evaluation process in MSCA COFUND. Currently, he is based in the Inpraise systems company, and this is it from my side. Mr. Růžička, the floor is yours. You're welcome to share your thoughts.
Okay, so thank you. Good morning again. My name is Bohdan Růžička, as it was said, and I would like to share with you my experience that I have gained in evaluation processes of Marie Curie actions. You can contact me on this email, and I will show it again at the end of my presentation. So don't hesitate to contact me by email or by phone if you need to consult something with your proposals. My experience with the evaluation of Marie Curie projects, I have mainly experience with evaluation of ITN projects, PF or individual fellowship projects. But I have a little bit also, but limited a little bit, and possible out of date also experience with COFUND projects. However, I think I can go through the current evaluation criteria with you, and I'm prepared to highlight some points that I think will be of interest to the evaluators. So go for it. Marie Curie COFUND finance new or existing doctoral programs and postdoctoral fellowship schemes. I think you talk about it next in previous talks. So some brief information here. I found some information about success rate. How your previous colleagues were successful in past years. You can see on average the success rate is around 25%, and I think this is not bad. So it's a quite good chance to be financed. And in the year between 2014 and 2020, the Czech Republic was successful with 4 projects in this term. So I think there is still room for improvement, for small improvements. So I think it can worth to subscribe this type of projects. This is a brief diagram of the usual evaluation process. So after you subscribe your proposal, it's checked on formal correctness, and suitable evaluators are selected then. And usually there are 3 or more, it depends. And each of them will read the proposal and write an individual evaluation. Then they meet. Nowadays it's online. And they meet to agree on the wording of the consensus report, which is the final document from that meetings. Proposal receive the score, and the so-called ranked list is compiled. And then proposal with the highest score are supported as long as the allocated funds are sufficient. There's still a limitation when proposal with a score lower than the limit. I think nowadays it's that 70% will not be definitely supported. So other projects, other proposals have chance to be funded, but according to my experience, you need to score at 90 and above. What I have already said is indicated here. You see a group of experts, evaluators. They agree on basis of their individual evaluations on a common conceptual evaluation conceptual report, and the entire process is supervised by vice chair and chair as well. This is an interesting chart that informs you how the score compares to the verbal assessment. So you can see that even giving a score of 3 is still good, but I guess it probably won't be supported. Page limiting pages is a very important moment. Care must be taken to ensure that this limit is not exceeded, because otherwise information beyond this limit mustn't be considered at all. So evaluators will not see the exceeded pages. So count pages carefully. This table clearly shows how which criteria the evaluator have to evaluate. And also on the bottom you can see also the importance something like weight for the individual main criteria. So you can see that excellence has the highest weight, so is the most important criterion than the others. Some points, criterions in the proposal need to be approached with regards to whether it's a doctoral program or a postdoctoral program, but probably you discussed it before. And also pay attention which program are you subscribed for. So on the next slides, I will go through the individual sub-criteria and complete. I would like to complete them with my comments. So the first criterion, quality and novelty of the selection process for the researchers. A number of things must be the process of selection must be transparent. Try to be specific on the numbers of researchers to be recruited. Describe your strategy, how you want to disseminate, how to when you advertise your program. Be very clear and open about composition of evaluation board and all process of evaluation. What are eligibility criteria that will be used for selection and scoring? What are thresholds? Try to have some guides, helps for candidates. Outline working conditions for them, and describe your organization or host beneficiary, as they say. Try to describe internal processes, how the whole process will be supported, and so on. So other sub-criterion, you need to, in this chapter, you need to convince the evaluators that the research that is planned within the present scientific program or research program is sufficiently innovative and new. All important aspects of such a program should have been described. I mean, like methodology that will lead to planned objectives or goals of research program. You need to demonstrate how you deal with fair principles of open space, open science data. It's a very important thing. Try to describe if you want to apply secondment, what is rationale, or explain why it's important for your project to have a secondment, why is it important for your projects and for recruits and researchers, new researchers. Also, good point is when you describe if this research program is interdisciplinary, intersectoral, or international. Also describe it and demonstrate the range of and quality of these issues. It's also evaluated. Another criterion deal with the quality of the training program. It's all about training, but this is what's new. What are you proposed new? It is certainly good to mention some comparison with the current state. So you can describe what's now, how is it dealing with this current institution, and what are you proposed to do originally to do? How are you innovative in this research program? You can state some specific training loads that is being considered, and also mention if there are some mandatory requirements of the school, like publications, teaching amount, if there is any, and so on. So you need to define main objectives of the training program, give some joint to other programs in this host on the host institution, and trying to will be done scientific and transferable skills also, and if it will be done local or wide web network, it's good to have wide network training program. And again, compare novelty and originality of your new program. And also we can describe the role of the non-academic sector if it's applicable. And also, it is also necessary to devote some space in the proposal to the description of supervision. And what is very important is how the career development plan will be done, because career development plan is a compulsory document. So you need to create them at the beginning of the project, and also after 18 months later update it. So from this chapter, from this criterion, you are evaluated how the supervision is arranged, and how you try to enhance future career perspectives of recruits. So career development plan is the document which must be done. Criterion impact and other sub-criterions like strengthening human resources and good practices and different levels like institutional, regional, national, international level. This is more or less political chapter. I think it is advisable to comment on all mentioned categories and definitely name them. maybe it's not a bad idea to highlight the right keywords. And of course, this applies to the entire document as well. You can mention some possible synergies with other programs like Erasmus, other Marie Curie actions, also some joining with policies and practices of European Human Resource Strategy for researchers and Charter and Code. These documents are important, and I advise you to mention them. And try to align possible alignment, try to find some possible alignment to national regulations, and trying to describe how the program will increase the attractiveness of the participating organizations towards some good researchers, talented researchers, and how you can increase the level and the goodness of your organization.
I think you are muted because we cannot hear you now.
Yeah, and now you can hear me?
When you
Sorry?
said yes, but can you please continue? We will see.
Yes.
Yes, it's all right.
It's all right now. Okay. So next sub-criterions are credibility of the proposed measures to enhance the career perspectives. Here it is a good idea to comment appropriately on everything that comes to your mind, how it can be improved by the projects, how this project can help to improve the career perspective, and also the possibilities of being employed. However, write concrete things, not any gravy, goulash. Describe methods of spreading awareness of the project and its results to the public. I advise you to mention the different target groups in a structured way. So you need to show how you enhance the career perspective of your recruits by means of networking, communication skills, employability, and so on. The last sub-criterion of the impact deal with dissemination and exploitation plan, including some communication activities. So please describe how you want to communicate and disseminate the results and whole your program to the public, not even professional public, but also widespread public, and structure this. Try to structure this this plan in some tables, and try to touch all of public which you can find, and try to highlight and describe how you want to communicate to them, and the way plan process, how you want to communicate them, like web pages, some media, internet media, online media, some night events, scientific night researchers events, and also how we want to exploit the results. So probably it's good to mention some way how you want to, or if you communicate with some industry partners, or probably you can give some information from some market analysis, relevant market analysis. If you produce something which can be useful for industry, you can define the market, relevant market, and try to find some market analysis. And also what could be touched as well is how you want to proceed IPR plan, intellectual property rights plan. So you want to deal with it. You can describe some process in the school, in the university, or something else. Next criterium. What needs to be demonstrated is a clear and well developed plan on how to implement your project. You must describe in a structured manner work packages, individual task, mention its duration, outputs, all the deliverables, milestones, and everything should be interconnected. It's good to see that all this stuff's working together. It's very good if you have nice and clear, high quality Gantt chart with this Gantt chart should contain some or contain all important information like milestones, deliverables, work packages. You have to mention also if you plan secondment schools, some short visits. So it's very important to give good Gantt chart as well. Some deliverables are obligatory in the Marie Curie COFUND, like midterm meetings when will be organized between participants and granting authority. Some mobility declaration, as I mentioned before, career development plan. Some special questionnaire, like I think it's called evaluation questionnaire. It's completed by each recruit and submitted at the end of the research training activity. I think after 2 years or something like that. Also data management plan if it's needed, and what is obligatory as well is plan for dissemination and exploitation. And what you need to present as well is a good plan, how we want to organize it all, manage it, control and monitor progress. So what is good to mention and to plan is something like describe services, supporting offices on your beneficiary partner, communication tools frequency of meetings. Try to describe decision-making processes. Define who will be project manager, how the supervisory board will be advisory committee, steering committee, or what else. Some administrative and financial issues need to be mentioned as well, and also outline responsibilities. Who is responsible for, and be very concrete and structure all these things for better evaluation. Also, define or try to find some research and administrative risks. Keep in mind that if you have research projects and it's innovative, there always be some risks. So try to avoid sentence like there are no risks in these projects or something like that. It's not good expression. It's on this slide, on this subcriterium. In this subcriterium, you need to convince the evaluators that you have a great infrastructure, and the infrastructure has the necessary technological and supporting background, and all is ready for new incomers. So describe like necessary administration will be joy, and the recruits will be well looked after, and so try to describe well integration of the researchers. That's what they need, and also some administrative way how they received allowance. Describe working conditions as well. And when you will be write about your host organization, try to mention some previous experiences with EU funds, Marie Curie. It's also a good point. For your proposal, you need also some other issues that must be addressed, like in terms of the research training personnel involved in the projects, like some ethics, gender. If you use artificial intelligence system, or you are developing artificial intelligence systems, you have to address its robustness and so on. Also prepare a letter of commitment. It must be in English, should be in English. Try to write them on letterhead that must be dated and signed, and also check if everything is up to date, because from time to time these letters of commitments are from previous years, and it's very hard to understand that the commitment is still valid. So I went through all criterion and subcriterions, and I'd like at the end of my presentation to show you some main hints and tips, let's say. So please, for sure, read carefully instructions, manuals, which is possible on the web, like guide for applicants. Even try to read also some old ones. They maybe some good informations are there as well. Acronym, use. Try to find a good and self-explanatory title, and I think it's advantage it's if it's memorable. If this acronym I can say people what is about the project. So it's good to have a good acronym. I think it's a good strategic point. Don't forget to prepare a good abstract. Try to summarize all aspects of your training program and prepare it. This abstract should be for non-experts, so try to avoid some specific informations that non-expert couldn't know. If your project is resubmitted, review the proposal as whole and try to find room for improvement. Sometimes it happens that project which is resubmitted are taken as from previous, just they change maybe some names and dates, and all is the same, so it doesn't look very good. If you give information and try to be very clear and concrete in your proposal, try to avoid information that doesn't bring anything. What I said before, if you want to talk about innovative program, innovative project, innovative proposal, and your objectives are going beyond the state of the art, it's always there are some unnecessity. So always it brings some risk. So try to this risk somehow evaluate and try to find some mitigation processes that can these risks can be suppressed. All parts of your proposal must be interconnected, like a child puzzle. It must be connected into each other. Everything must be sequentially somehow created. Probably if you describe something in previous chapter and you want to discuss it in the next chapter, try to briefly mention it in the next chapter, because evaluator can't remember what I read before. As I said, towards the page limits, letter of commitment must be updated and signed, and refer to the project as well. And keep in mind, and proposal and target must be smart, specific, valuable as possible, measurable, achievable. So people must believe that you can achieve their goals, relevant for modern society, timely, evaluated, and evaluatable. So you can use abbreviations, but explain them, and use references if it's possible to, and if you use possible to, so use references. And remember, the evaluator is a human, so try to write down your proposal for human, for very busy human. So save their time, make easy for the evaluators to find some information. So highlight important things, highlight keywords. Text, it's wise that the text will be, your text will be simple and brief. Try to write down very clear language, flow text, well written. I'd advise you to use the third person narrative. Try to avoid the passive. All of your proposal chapters should be structured somehow, and use adequate font size. So minimum font size is 11 point font size, spacing single. Try to avoid to prepare proposal which is not readable or readable without glasses. It's terrible. As possible as it is possible, use diagrams and tables, figures. It has very good information capacity, and also show evaluator that you with very careful care you prepare your proposal, and at the end submit final version. So beware, submit something previous, and also read everything many times at the end. And much better is to give it to someone else to read it. So good luck with your proposal. That's the end of my presentation, and contact if you need to contact me, for example, for some advice and some consultation. You can contact me. I'm from Brno, so it's easy to meet in Brno or somewhere else, but these are my contacts. Okay, so
thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on the criteria and for sharing your advice as well and being available to our applicants. Now I will share Slido. We have 2 questions for now there. So the first question is, should the soft skills trainings for fellows be mandatory, or are they mandatory?
Soft skills, if we are talking about transferable skills, I think they are mandatory for Marie Curie projects and also for COFUND project.
Yes, I agree.
It's good.
Very encouraged.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. Yes, you can continue, of course.
Yeah, secondments during individual fellowships are performed in the hosting country.
Concerning secondments, yes, they can be anywhere in the world.
Yes, secondments can be anywhere. Yes, that's true. It should be possible not to make secondments in the programs obligatory. No, it's not obligatory to have a secondments, and if you plan secondments, you must to explain why is it good for your project and good for your recruits. And how can this choice be? Sorry, I have very small monitor. I can see it very well. How can this choice well be argued so that the applicant is not downgraded? Downgraded if you plan secondments or not. What in what term you mean downgraded?
It is not clear what you mean by the applicant, because the applicant, do you mean the institution applying for the COFUND, and whether they should integrate secondments into the overall program?
Actually, generally, I think that secondment is very good plan, but you need to explain the reason why you plan secondments. If you don't have rationale, if you don't have arguments why you want to plan secondment, so don't plan secondments, because it can degrade your score. For example, evaluators will not see the reason why the secondment is planned. So, but if you prepare good secondment arrangement and there will be good reason for it, I think it's an advantage, a great advantage.
There is an answer saying that someone's application was downgraded for not having secondments mandatory.
In the last years, I think the secondment it's not mandatory, and I think it's a reason when you can complain to evaluation process, because in COFUND, Marie Curie COFUND, secondments are not mandatory, but are possible, but you can explain them. An application, you mean proposal application? Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes. All right, so these are the questions that have been raised. So if you do not have any more questions, neither here nor in the chat, then I will thank you for being here with us, for sharing your experience.
Yes, I keep my fingers for your proposals to be successful, and bon appetit for your lunch.
Yes, and now we will have lunch break. We have one more session planned after the lunch break. So do not disconnect, or you can, but join us later on because it will be very interesting. We have 3 successful applicants, now beneficiaries, and they will share their experience with the whole process. So stay tuned and see you precisely at 1 p.m. So we have almost 1 hour for the lunch break. I hope it is sufficient for all of you to be ready here again for the next session. Dear participants, welcome back. Now we are beginning with the very last session, which is focused on testimonials by successful applicants. We have 3 participants, 3 speakers today. And I'm very pleased that this panel is international, because we don't have yet any successful project from the doctoral program schemes or subtype of this scheme. So I asked a Finnish project manager, let's say, who represents the project I4World, which is a doctoral program, to come and share their experience with us, because I know that in the Czech Republic, the interest for this subtype is growing. So I'm very pleased to welcome Henna Longi here. Can we hear us?
Yes, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, hello, Henna.
Hi.
The floor is yours. You're welcome to share your thoughts and insights on the whole process of application.
Yes. Can you see my slides?
Yes, we can see it.
Yes, good. So good day, everyone. My name is Henna Longi. I'm a coordinator of I4World Doctoral program at the University of Oulu, Finland. And I was kindly asked to talk about our program and also giving some insights on the application process for the COFUND. Maybe I I should briefly mention about our university. So as many of you might not know, so the University of Oulu is in Finland, and it's one of the largest and the most multidisciplinary universities in Finland. We have 8 different faculties and almost 14,000 students in bachelor and master and doctoral level. We also have staff around 4,000, so very big staff, and also international staff. And we have a lot of alumni that are distinguished in different research fields. From our university, around 170 doctoral degrees are per year, so quite many doctorates per year are graduating from our university. Then about the I4World program, so it's Imagine and Characterization for Sustainable World. It is co-funded by the Marie Sklodowska-Curie Action Co-Fund. The EU funding is around 3.3 million euros. Then the University of Oulu is the sole beneficiary of the program, and it's hosted in here. We started in early November last year, and the program is gonna last until 2027 October. We're gonna train 25 doctoral researchers, and we have had a lot of partners involved in this program, so different academic partners, private companies, and other organizations at the application phase, but also later on coming to support our program. And our partners are from Finland, but also around the world, so very international program. We focus on imagine and characterization methods for United Nations Sustainable Development Goal topics. So we have 4 different teams in our program. One is good health and well-being. One is affordable and clean energy. One is sustainable industries and production. And the last one is clean water, biodiversity, and environment. So our program is very interdisciplinary in the topics. So we have, for example, medical, biochemistry, different engineering fields, material sciences, physics, biology, you name it. So we will train 25 early stage researchers with comprehensive understanding on sustainability. It includes in the environmental, economic, and social aspects as well. And we will take on the benefits on the novel imagine and characterization methods, and we focus on the interdisciplinary research on this. At our university, we have the University of Oulu Graduate School, and we are positions under that umbrella. When it comes to the program, we have special requirements for the doctoral researchers and also for the supervisors as well. So we have, for example, a requirement on minimum of 6-month secondment for the researchers, and also mandatory courses. Our mandatory courses are related, for example, to different research methods, sustainable development, dissemination and communication, innovation and business aspects of research, and also diversity and gender balance issues. And the program will be performed by executing individual research projects by the early stage researchers. The projects are done in collaboration with partners. So our partners will provide support in training, supervision, hosting secondments, and also providing research infrastructures. So, for example, we have a requirement that every doctoral researcher has second supervisor from the partner. So every doctoral researcher must have a supervisor from the partner organization. So we want to involve our partners for the supervision as well. Here you can see our kind of management structure. So we have the coordination part. Our leader is Professor Marko Huttula, and we also have a vice leader, Professor Simo Saarakkala. And I'm the coordinator of the program. So basically I run everyday issues with the program when it comes to different training activities, reporting, budgeting, different kind of everyday issues. We have a steering committee that is basically the ultimate decision body of the program. And then we also have a supervisory board, which consists of all of the supervisors and also partner representatives and representatives from the researchers. So we want to make sure that voices of different stakeholders are heard in this program. We have different subcommittees on the execution side. So we have a selection committee, dissemination committee, training committee, and ethics committee taking place to make sure that the program is implemented as it was promised. And I should mention that there's a lot of support organizations that are helping implementing this program. Okay, then I will go through a little bit our proposal preparation. So I should mention that our leader, Professor Huttula, has been involved earlier also in the COFUND program. It was called I for Future. And that was a researcher-based idea driven to the university. It was a very good doctoral program. It trained 20 doctoral researchers, and with these good results and for further development, university decided that we should apply for another COFUND doctoral program, especially addressing these sustainability issues. So we started to prepare our application around April, May in 2020, when the application deadline was in September. We got the decision that it was not funded. It was very close, but we got valuable feedback on improving our application, and we decided to apply again. So then we started around November, and the deadline was in February. We got the funding information last year in July, and the grant agreement was signed in October last year. Some of the important things at the preparation was that we had this preparation team that is a must-have, and also meeting regularly to discuss on the proposal. Support from our research services was essential in our preparation, so they helped us in reading the call text from the Horizon program and helping forming the application. And also we were getting feedback from different support units, for example, the graduate school, HR, financial services, and other organizations. And also we were discussing IPR data management issues with our support organizations. One important thing was with us that we had open interaction with other research units and other researchers in different fields. So at the end, we had 24 research units from 6 different faculties included in the application. And we were utilizing existing networks and connections of our researchers and research units, and they were helping us to get the letter of commitments or letter of intents from the partners for the application. And it was very important that we provided some material for the partners to look what are the aims of the program. We got the funding decision and we had the selection process of the doctoral candidates. So this is basically our timeline that we had. So we had the call open for 3 months. After that, we had the eligibility check. Then all of the eligible candidates went through the external evaluation. Every application was evaluated by 3 external experts outside University of Oulu. Almost all of the experts were international, so outside of Finland. Then after the evaluations, according to ranking scores given by the experts, 36 best candidates were interviewed. And after the interviews, the steering committee made the final decision on the selected candidates. So who is selected and who is on the reserve list. That was based on the evaluations and the interviews. And if there were similar scores between the candidates, the steering committee took into account gender balance and other equal opportunities issues. Then after the selection, the projects have been starting. So at the moment we have 23 doctoral researchers that have started here. So only 2 are still coming in short time. Here are a few things that I wanted to share with you on our experience. So with the idea, research must come first. When you think about your strengths on the research side and think about creating something new, unique, you can look what is out there and what is missing on these issues. And also think about the needs of the society and for example, the horizon focus areas, and also how to get partners involved. Then you should pay good attention to your kind of core team on the writing and planning. So, and they have different roles and responsibilities in writing and planning the proposal. Then good description on the implementation. And for example, I should say that the recruitment process description needs to be very good in the application. So pay attention to the how do you describe the recruitment process of the researchers. And you should read the application many times, and you can consider, for example, language proofing on the text if needed. And you should use tables and drawings and pictures for the application. This is very important. So what you write is what you get. So if you end up getting the funding, then what you have written to the application, you need to implement that. So when you are writing your proposal, please make sure that you think about what is doable and in what time frame. Important is also the preparing your support organizations very early on, what is coming up. And also it is very good if, for example, the HR department has kind of designated contact person for you. So you can always contact the same person and you don't need to explain every time what is COFUND and and what is required from the HR side. And maybe lastly, that allocate time and resources for the application phase, but also the time before the project starts for the grant agreement preparation phase. So it is very time consuming just to prepare the application, but when you get the funding approved, there's a lot of work before the project starts. So you should prepare some resources for that. I don't have anything else at this point, so I will take your questions later on.
Thank you very much, Henna, for your presentation. So now we will proceed with the two other presentations, and if there are any questions, we will have a Q&A session, a common one, afterwards. So now I would like to ask Ilona Gottwaldová for her presentation. This program that will be presented is a postdoctoral one, and the project is called Physics for the Future. P4F is the acronym of the project. And this project is based at the Institute of Physics of the Czech Academy of Sciences. So Ilona, please, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Lydia, for introducing me. I will start sharing my presentation now. And please tell me whether it's in the full presentation mode.
Yes, it looks good.
Great. Thank you. Okay. So I was asked by Lydia to give you an insight into how we prepared this proposal and also give some information about how the idea came about. So I'm going to do just that. So first, I will briefly describe the program, and then we can move on to the preparation and implementation. So, as Lydia said, our program is called Physics for Future, P4F, and I'm going to be using the abbreviation in the talk. So this project is for 5 years. As you can see, we just started. We started in September 2023, and we are planning to finish in August 2028. The total budget of the project is nearly 10 million euro, and the contribution from the EU is almost 6 million euro. We are considered to be a large co-fund, meaning that this amount of funding had to be agreed on by all member states. So if you are applying for a big project like this, you have to be prepared for some delays when signing the grant agreement. What are we going to fund with these 10 million? We are going to fund 60 postdoctoral fellows. You can see that it's a quite large number of a new generation of scientists who are going to join our institution. These fellows will stay with us for 24 months, 2 years each, and we are going to hire them in 2 calls. So the first call opened 1st of September, and the next call will be in 2 years. The fellows will work in 3 main research areas, which we define very broadly after a lot of discussion, and these are matter under extreme conditions, emerging tools and materials for society. Don't worry, I'm not going to go more deeply into physics in this talk. The fellowships can be executed in 2 research institutes, in the Institute of Physics, FZU, and in LIB Mines. When we started writing this application, LIB Mines was still part of Institute of Physics. It was one of its 6 divisions. As of this year, LIB Mines became part of Eli Eric. So we also had to adjust this, for the implementation process. So here you can see all our facilities, and there are 5. We have new facilities for solid state physics, traditional facilities for solid state physics, and there is also some astrophysics apart from the lasers involved in this project. So what do we offer to P4F fellows? We offer them personalized supervision and career guidance. interesting interdisciplinary environment, cutting-edge infrastructure, as I just described, international academic network, and you will see later on how many partners we have involved in the project, industrial partners, a whole network of industrial partners, then training in soft and transferable skills, and this is not the first time you hear this, these words here today. So our training had to be designed with care and had to make sense, and also attractive employment condition. So, of course, we couldn't do that without having some supervisors. So we have a pool of 104 supervisors. Of course, not everyone will get their fellow, but we have created this pool. And out of this, number 3 of them are from A-line. When you have a look at the distribution between areas of physics, you can see that the condensed matter physics prevails, and it's natural because it's the main research area in our institute. So for this particular project, we managed to engage 75 partners, and it's a large number. Not only Czech, but also international. That's the second column here. We have 28 Czech partners and 47 international partners. And if you look at the split between industry and academia, we have about 18 industrial partners and 57 academic partners. So this is our program in a nutshell, but how did we arrive there? So I believe this slide is self-explanatory. We have tried twice to apply for Marie Skłodowska-Curie CoFund, the first time with 85.4 points, second time with 96.6, and we got funded. But if you look at the distribution of the points in the year 2020 and 21, you can see that there is a whole 1 point difference in the part of excellence. And this 1 point corresponds to 11.2 points in the final evaluation. So you can see that the part excellence is really important here. If you compare impact and implementation, the differences in we go slightly better in impact, but the difference is not massive. So now I will return to the first CoFund and tell you something about the idea. So the idea came from the FZU director, who at one of our regular meetings placed an abstract of a CoFund, Marie Skłodowska-Curie CoFund project in front of me, and said, why don't we apply for that? And this, I believe, was prompted by the fact that FZU was asked to be partner in one Marie Skłodowska-Curie CoFund application. So what we agreed at that meeting was that we will try to research, institutes who are Marie Skłodowska-Curie CoFund holders. So from that time, we spend a certain time, and you will see how much, doing research, trying to find information. Simultaneously, we have put together a preparation team. And if you come from a large institution with 700 scientists like me, you know that these large projects are usually formed together across its divisions. So we put together division leaders and a working group of mid-career to senior researchers to work with us. We also contacted the Technology Center Prague at that time, Zuzana Šimek, who was an invaluable guide throughout both our attempts, and we tried to find out as much information about this particular program. And in the end, so this is how we started, and in the end, the writing group which formed was consisting of 2 SZU grant advisors, 3 SZU scientist experts, and 1 leadership representative. So here is the timeline. The idea, as I said, originated in February 2020. Within 2 months, we had our research and analysis done. We prepared ourselves for writing the program. We gathered information. In May 2020, we had the first working group meeting together with the heads of sections. And we also took part in a webinar organized by Zuzana Šimek, which was a 4-hour marathon introduction into MSCA COFUND, and it was excellent. It truly speeded up our writing later on. In July 2020, we formed the writing group I just talked about, and we prepared some surveys. We started writing in July, and we had meetings together with the writing group, me individually with all the writers, and at the end of September we submitted. So, but before we could submit, there was a lot of work which we had to do, and we had to make clear that we know why we are trying to apply for this funding. Why is this important for us? So we were perhaps lucky that this particular project coincided, or proposal coincided with the time when Institute of Physics was applying for HR award, and also was implementing a project which was leading to this award. So we had we were aware of all the gaps which we want to do something about. So our motivation was to use the newly built facilities to its full, also to support and sustain excellent teams which were already in place, to enhance international postdoctoral presence at FZU, and I can't say that we would be at that time doing really badly. At that time, I think we had about 30% of our postdoctoral pool international. We wanted to raise the share of female scientists among the employees. Mind you, we are active in the area of physics, subject notoriously known for the lack of women force. And we also wanted to extend our scientific networks, and importantly, to strengthen the FZU supervisors base. And this was something which came out from our research. We found out that we have quite a good number of senior supervisors. However, our mid-career scientists rarely supervise. So we wanted to tap into that. Then we had to figure out what we want to do, and that was in a way quite easy to define. But the last question was how we want to do that. We had to figure out how we want this program to, how we want to design this program, and how we want to implement it. So we also knew that what the funder wanted, and you have seen this overview today several times. You know that it's a 30 pages application consisting of excellence, impact, and implementation. But today I will focus on what it took to create the program and to write the proposal, mostly through the excellence part. So before we could define the program, we had to do some more research, and we were also recommended to use the Net for Mobility handbook, which was a handbook prepared for COFUND applications by the former, if I'm not mistaken, network of national contact points, and it was an excellent material. But just to give you an idea, a 30 pages application got 45 pages manual on how to write it, so it was quite thorough. So after some discussions within that setting, which I described before, we put together research areas we want our applicants to be active in, and I already mentioned them. But also we knew that we need our program to be innovative, to add something new. So we came up with 3 priorities, cross priorities, and that was artificial intelligence, additive manufacturing, and advanced computing. And we didn't come to this idea just through brainstorming, but we did some surveys which were helpful to formulate this program. We searched for partners. Once we had this idea, exactly as Henna was saying, once we had an idea about our program, we could formulate a small abstract about the program, and we started searching for partners. So again, we engaged the heads of sections, heads of departments, all the traditional hierarchical structure within the institute, and researchers themselves to come up with partners for these, partners as second man host for this program. So first, it was the researchers themselves which were communicating with the partners and introducing the programs, and later on the grant office took over and created a letter of commitment template and a short explanatory letter, and with that we approached the partners. We also needed to select the supervisors, and as I said, it was one of the gaps we wanted to address. So we created this institution of senior and junior supervisor, a double-headed supervisor, if you wish, complemented by a second-man supervisor. So we saw that the junior supervisor could get more experience through this program. So how did we go about it? We created, we again went through the traditional structures. We sent out an Excel. We asked each division to write down potential supervisors of each seniority, either senior, junior, and we set out some criteria. And the criteria were number of projects led, number of researchers supervised, number of citations on publications, and age number. And through this criteria, we got a nice pool of supervisors. It was immediately clear who is senior, who is junior, and this helped us to later justify this within the proposal. At this point, we also prepared a special survey questionnaire, and which we later on, the answers we used for writing and also for co-designing of this program. So this was the result of our survey. We asked our researchers to travel in time and tell us what science-related career skills they consider important, and that's the frame in the bottom right corner. And then we asked them what kind of training they would have taken to get these skills. And that is this frame. And you can again see some interesting answers here. And then we asked them where would they go for secondment if they could, to get extra knowledge to complement their science. And you can see we have their high-tech company, artificial neural network systems. So this, for instance, informed our cross priorities for the program. And of course, that was not all. We had to address other aspects which are important for this kind of proposal, and that's gender aspects and diversity. It's a topic which we didn't consider important only for the proposal, but as you could see in our motivation table, it was also something we wanted to address. So again, we didn't try to put in any strong affirmative actions, but we contacted our colleagues from European institutions who were experienced in this area, and we asked them what would they consider, what they have experience with. And we came up with anonymized selection process, which we at the moment are trying out. We came up with the idea of having one female applicant for each position. It doesn't mean a person who was accepted, but just one female applicant for each position called. And of course, we focused on that our evaluation is gender balanced. For the excellence part, we also had to focus on the dissemination of the call. And here we engaged the PR department. We tried to identify suitable platforms to advertise our future call, because we had to describe all this in the proposal. We also talked to our supervisors. We asked them what are their usual platforms when they advertise for positions. And in the end, selection process, as you heard today, thorough description of selection process is very important. So we would perhaps recommend that you pay most attention to this one, and I will talk about it later. So one has to go to a level of detail which is not common usually in an institute when you are hiring people. We had to make sure that the hiring process is done is open, transparent, merit-based, and we have to make sure that the flow is fine-tuned so that it doesn't cause problems in the implementation. So I would like to finish this part with the P4F writing team and description of the roles, because I believe that this is really important. You could see that this writing team started writing in July, and the application was finished after thorough preparation, obviously, in September. So we had these grant advisors, scientists, and representative of FZU leadership in the group. But we also had the group leader who was managing writing the whole project. We had one researcher, and here I don't mean scientist. It was a person, my colleague, who was doing all the research, finding all the information, communicating with the partners, doing the analysis. And then we had two experts, two scientists who at the same time were experienced with European Commission grants and European Commission grants evaluation. And this was important for writing the selection procedure for the proposal, and one project management expert. And again, this was a scientist, but luckily enough, it was a scientist who had experience from a multinational company. So, and again, expertise which was very handy. And as you can see, for writing this type of project, you need to engage various kinds of expertise. And of course, we had the leadership representative who was observing mostly, but also contributing to the formulation of the scientific part of the proposal. And once again, Technology Center, whose invaluable role I already mentioned. So, how did we get there with the proposal in 2021? The answer is simple. We addressed all the comments we got in 2020, and those comments were mostly related to part excellence. And you do not need to read all this text here, but you can see I have highlighted what we addressed in orange. So there was some insufficient information provided about the weight of the evaluation of sub-criteria. There was one lesson learned. Please, when you are rereading your application, your proposal, pay attention to tables, because we forgot to introduce 1, 2, and 3 in the table. The parts were there ready, but the numbers were not in. So then the interview panels lacked substantial involvement of international experts. We really rectified that. So now we have only international experts, or in the second application, second proposal. Then second man is not compulsory but optional. You perhaps recognize my question from the Slido. Really, we were downgraded in the first time by making second man optional, not compulsory. And insufficient information is provided on the ways of collaboration among the different actors involved in supervision process. Please make sure when you are writing your proposals that you describe how all these people who are involved, whether supervisors or stakeholders, how they communicate, not only that they are there. So these were weaknesses. As you can see, there was one weakness in 21. And these were strengths. I copied all of the strengths from the year 2020, 2021, and you can see that there were about, I counted it yesterday, 12 or 13 strengths in 2021. So we really try to pay a lot of attention to everything which was said in the first evaluation, but also not to omit any part. Another lesson learned from this was that sometimes important information which is placed at the end or at the top of the page can get lost. So lesson learned, don't put important information at these places. Now we are in the implementation period. The deadline of the first call is November 10, 2023. And a lot had to be done before the first call deadline. You already heard from Henna how much work is involved. But here I listed only a number of things which needed to be attended to. First, you need to hire a project manager, and we were extremely lucky to hire 2 excellent project managers who are taking care of this project. And I'm sure you will have a chance to meet with them at some later point. So we had to prepare a website, but for the website we had to find a web developer. So that's one thing. Then application portal, we expect that we will get a lot of applications. So of course, application portal will be handy here. We could draw on the experience of previous co-fund holder, the South Moravian Center, and also Martina's co-fund. You will hear her talking in a moment. Application template, we had to create an application template. Guide for applicants, guide for evaluators, all the content for the website. Electronic and printed flyers to advertise the call and come up with the advertisement text. And of course, communicate with the partner, but also start preparing contracts. Communication cannot be underestimated, both internal and external. One needs to engage the research department, supervisors themselves, and support department as well in the institute. And I think it was a good decision on our part to leave 1 year from the project evolve to the project, more than 1 year to the project implementation. So we had quite ample time to do all this. And yet I think my colleagues would tell you that there is never enough of good communication, never enough of talking to people and explaining. And then, of course, external communication. One has to keep partners informed and involved. One needs to engage with the supervisors and second-man supervisors. One needs to communicate the call at various platforms. So I would like to finish here, and I wonder whether you have questions.
Thank you very much, Ilona, for your detailed presentation. So now I will go straight ahead and ask Martina Vycudilíková for her presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. So I will share my screen, and I hope that you can see my slides now.
Yes, I confirm it is all right.
Okay. So thank you very much for this opportunity to share also our experience with our postdoctoral fellowship program called MERIT, that is also co-funded by Horizon Europe Marie Skłodowska-Curie co-fund. And when I was invited to this event by Lida, I was sent a couple of questions that I should touch in my presentation. So I will try to answer, I don't know if all of them, but at least the majority of them. So first, 3 questions. How did the idea come to apply? Basic facts about us, and what source of co-financing do we use? So I will start by the introduction of us as the beneficiary and the coordinator of this program. It is the Central Bohemian Innovation Center. We are a public non-profit regional innovation agency with quite a young history, founded in 2015. We are the leader of the regional innovation strategy for smart specialization. And we have actually 2 main target groups. One of them are small and medium enterprises, and one of them are regional research organizations. And for those target groups, we design regional programs to support them. And since the beginning of our existence, I believe that we have built a successful network of research, but also industry partners at regional, national, and international level. And here I will also like to highlight the big difference between our program and the previous program presented, the P4F, because unlike the P4F, we as the beneficiary are not the host organization. So we are not going to employ any researchers, but we are basically the coordinator, and we are basically running the program for other host organizations. And these host organizations are the research organizations located in the Central Bohemia region. And the idea to design and to start to prepare MERIT as one of our regional programs came up in 2019 as a result of mapping in our research organizations, where actually one of the challenges that we identified was that there is a lack of talented international researchers, and that's why we started to prepare this program. And here is the map of the Central Bohemia, and you can see the location of our research organizations. In total, we have around 33 different institutes, mainly focused on life and technical sciences. Of course, not all of them are partners of MERIT, but I would say more than half. Some basic facts about MERIT. So we started the implementation this year, and our program is also 5-year. The fellows that apply to the program will go through the international transparent evaluation and selection process using the best practices that I will develop more later. And we have 2 calls, and in total, we intend to recruit 30 fellows for 2.5 years. And these fellows will be employed by our research organizations in the Central Bohemia region, as was mentioned before. Regarding the budget, so our program is smaller than the previous one. We got the funding of more than 3.5 million euro, and our other financial contributors are the Central Bohemia region, which is the second bigger contributor, and then also the host organizations themselves. This is our website. Sorry, this is our website, so you can check it. Regarding some specific facts about our program, so I would mention few of them. For example, mandatory secondments, as it was said before, it is a need. In our case, the secondments are from 2 to 9 months. And for the secondments, we have the consortium of, at this moment, 36 associated partners. We also offer a specific training that will be organized by us and will be offered to all fellows in all host organizations. And this program will be focused on transferable skills. I think that you are now familiar with this term, something like soft skills for researchers, including different areas, for example, communication, entrepreneurship skills, etc. And also we will offer mentoring for our fellows in 3 different areas. We are also going to organize a number of networking events, such as innovation days or meetup for researchers, also to enable them to communicate their results. In Merit, we talk about 4 principles. So those are these 3 famous I's that I think that you are now familiar with: international mobility, intersectorality, and interdisciplinarity. And in our program, we added or highlighted 1 more principle, and we also have a specific work package for this principle, which is diversity. To give you 1 practical example, how we included the diversity principle in our program is that, for example, we evaluate gender dimension in research proposals submitted to Merit. So within the evaluation process, it is 1 small sub-criteria, but we included this also at the evaluation stage. Our program is focused on 5 research groups, 5 research areas, and then we have at this moment 15 host organizations and 35 different research groups that somehow belong to these areas. You can see the logos of some of our partners, not all of them. And these areas, there is also a history behind how we came up with these 5 areas. They are in line with many strategic documents at regional, but also national and international level. Then the next questions, how much time did it take to write the proposal? Describe your proposal writing process, and how did we engage and communicate with our associated and implementing partners? So I think that when I show you this slide, it doesn't need to comment a lot regarding our proposal writing proposal process. As you can see that our journey to get the funding was very long. We submitted our proposal 3 times, and we were selected for the 3rd time with the score 98%, which I think was the 4th best in Europe. And I think that you know that the cutoff score is traditionally very high because this call is very competitive. So it was the case in all 3 calls. So what helped us to develop our proposal to this level? We benefited from many consultations and also trainings offered by the DNCP from the Technology Center. Just like Ilona mentioned, it was really very useful. we also learned from the feedback from the evaluation reports, in our case twice, and we always translated the weaknesses and try to tackle them and translate into the strength next time. And we have constantly thought about new ideas that we can include to our proposal, some improvements. We also benefited from some expert consultations because since we are not a research organization, we don't have the expertise in, for example, IP or open access issues. So it was also, and the handbook was mentioned. So it was also our case. The handbook developed by some previous successful applicants. We used this handbook twice, and it was really very helpful. Regarding our consortium, so we at the application stage had 51 partners, 15 implementing partners, as I said, the research organizations from the Central Bohemia region, and 36 associated partners from all over the world. These include, for example, companies, either small or bigger companies, but also universities and even some high schools. And I will just add that the list of implementing partners will be even enlarged during the implementation, because there are some other partners that want to enter the consortium. And regarding the associated partners, this is quite tricky because as we offer also the possibility for the candidates to come up with their own secondment partner. This was used very much, and I think that this list will change a lot during the implementation, because actually it always depends on a specific project, and each candidate has a different project, so you cannot cover all possible associated partners at the application stage, but it's good to have some solid base. And how did we communicate with these partners? Well, of course, we had to gather the letters of commitment from all of them. So I recommend to start quite soon. I would say a couple of months before you submit your proposal. And in case of the implementing partners, the benefit or the good thing was that we were trusted by these partners, because we have been collaborating with them for several years. So it was, I wouldn't say easy, but easier to get these letters of commitment, since the trust was there. And regarding the associated partners, we had two groups. One group was the partners that were brought to the consortium by the implementing partners themselves. And one group was the partners that we, the Central Bohemian Innovation Center, brought. So these were mainly the small and medium enterprises and companies in our region. And again, these were partners that knew us before, and we have had a collaboration with them. So that's why they trusted us, and they signed the letter of commitment. And the last section of my presentation is related to the recruitment and selection process, and if there are any specific difficult situation that we were confronted with. So this is the timeline of our application, evaluation and selection process, very general. So our call is open for 3 months. The call open includes also not only the promotion of the call and the program, but also I would say, quite big assistance to the applicants. For example, we organized an info day. We provided online consultations for applicants. I think that we provided around maybe 20 or 25 individual consultations, online consultations, and of course, constant answering by email, etc. Then follows the eligibility check, which also includes the redress process. Then matching of evaluators with proposals. Of course, we have 3 evaluators to each proposal. And just from our experience, which principles we include. So our committee must be gender mixed. So in each committee, there must be at least 1 woman from the evaluators. The committee must be, of course, international. In our case, at least 2 out of the 3 evaluators must be from abroad and of another nationality than Czech. And of course, they must be experts.
Just a second, I will try to mute.
Okay. Thank you.
Now it should be fine.
Yeah, thank you. We also organized a briefing for the evaluators. The briefing included not only briefing in criteria, but also in unconscious bias. Then there is the phase of written evaluation that includes creation of the individual reports, the command discussion of the 3 evaluators, the creation of the consensus reports, and also the revision of these consensus reports by the chairs, because we have the chairs of each research panel. Then we have the panel interviews. Those are for the candidates that reached at least 75% in the written evaluation. And as I mentioned before, these panel interviews include, for example, the gender dimension assessment. Then the best proposals that are selected to the list or to the list of the best candidates must go through the ethics screening, and the final step is the formal approval by the steering committee. So the whole process takes around from 3 to 4 months. And the last slide is dedicated to some challenges of the recruitment process. So there was really a lot of challenges and difficult situations. I would say since the beginning, we have been dealing with difficult situations. But I think that it is normal when you implement a new program. So first challenge, setup of a database of international evaluators. In our case, as you could see, we have many different topics from diverse areas. So we have 5 really very different areas and 35 different research groups from biotechnology to energy and to lasers. So for this, we really started very soon. I think around 1 year before the evaluators were really needed. We already launched a call for international evaluators. The next challenge was the number and quality of the applicants. So I must say that we had also many unrelevant applicants who did not read or understand the application process. So it is quite difficult because it takes a lot of time and there is a lot of work. So really to attract the quality candidates that that are able to write the proposal correctly and formally correctly and to write a very good proposal. It's really very difficult. There were many formal mistakes made by the applicants in the applications. So this was also something that, even though we had explained in the guide and very clearly on the website how the forms should be filled, there were still many mistakes. One big challenge was the setup of the application and evaluation system, and the important word is smooth application and evaluation system, because actually you want to have the system that makes the process technically easy for the evaluators. You have to coordinate the task of evaluators having different roles. For example, in our case, in the first call, we had 60 experts that were engaged to evaluate 38 proposals, and these experts had different roles. So it's really important to have a smooth electronic system. Yes, and this is all from my side. So if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Martina, for sharing your experience. I believe it was very insightful. Huge thanks to all of you. And now we have 4 questions in Slido. So let me share the screen. Now you should see it. So I will start from the top. A question for all. What was the hardest aspect of writing COFUND proposal? Just anything that comes to your mind.
Okay, so perhaps I can start. If I should single out one part of the proposal, it would definitely be the selection process and the evaluation process. And I'm sure that, or I think that everyone will agree with me, whoever tried to write this kind of application. But perhaps what's really important is to get well prepared before you start writing, and make sure that you have the right people around you who can either contribute to writing or give you good advice.
Thank you, Ilona. Anyone else wants to contribute?
Yeah,
Sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I totally agree with the selection process description. That is really important, and it took a lot of work to writing that. And we had to read the call text all over again, what is required and what needs to be included, and for example, the gender dimension needs to be an equal opportunities, and then the data management side, and that kind of additional. And research itself was easy for our researchers to write, the research excellence part, but but the recruitment process, the selection process, was one of the hardest things to write.
Thank you, Henna.
Yes, I agree with this. I think this is also the crucial part of the application or the proposal. But I would say it was not difficult to write it, but it was difficult to find out what is considered to be best practices. And it can change in the time, actually, because what was considered to be best practice like 2 or 3 years ago can be different this year. So this is the tricky part, I would say.
Thanks a lot. So now we will go to the next question. Is there anything you try differently now that you are in the implementation phase? do you think you have not considered something enough in your application and now there's no room to change it?
Like I mentioned, what you write is what you get. For us, when we were at the selection process, I think our time schedule was a little bit too optimistic, but we managed. But that was maybe the timeline could have been more thought out, but otherwise pretty okay, I think.
Thank you, Henna. Any ideas?
So perhaps now we are in the middle of the first call, so seeing how things are going, perhaps I think it would be advisable to think of a longer call. At the moment we have 2.5 months, and I think 3 to 4 months is perhaps more reasonable to allow the candidates to write good applications and also allow to get quality candidates. So that would be perhaps one thing. And the other one, this was our first COFUND, and to hire 60 fellows for one's first COFUND is it's a great ambition. So in the hindsight, I would recommend to start with less.
Thank you.
I would write many things differently, but then the question is if we were funded in this case. But maybe just to mention one specific thing is that, for example, we described in the proposal that we are going to, that the matching of evaluators to the proposals will be done by the chairs of the scientific panels. But this is not realistic, actually. So it has to be us as the management board to match the evaluators. So maybe this is just a detail. And then also the issue with the partners, because you can have like 100 associated partners in your consortium, but then in the end maybe just some of them will be involved and there will be completely different partners involved because just each project is specific and you cannot know in advance what kind of candidates you will have and what kind of projects. But on the other hand, I know that it is somehow expected that you will have the consortium of partners ready at the application stage.
Thanks a lot.
Also, perhaps I wouldn't leave adding the partners to the portal for the morning of the day of the submission. So don't do that if you have 75 partners.
Another question. Could you please elaborate on the different roles your partners play in the program? You have touched upon that there is a different structure, let's say, in both postdoctoral programs. Perhaps Henna could a bit elaborate on that. Do you have any implementing partners or not?
No, so all of the doctoral researchers are employed by the University of Oulu. So our partners are, some of them are hosting the secondments. Some of our partners are, for example, providing some other forms of support in training, for example, research infrastructures or other things. And also, typically we have the one partner that is hosting the secondment is usually also the supervisor comes from the same organization. But at the moment, because we are just recruited these persons and we don't have the partnership agreements yet, so we don't actually at the moment know the exact amount of our kind of hosting partners with the secondments.
Thank you.
So all of these are employed by our university, and during the secondments they are still employed by us. So we don't have any implementing partners.
Thank you for the clarification. Does anyone want to add anything to the role of partners?
Well, I think that I was explaining these two roles in the presentation, so I don't know if this is the answer to this specific question, or if the person who asked wanted to know something else.
So you still have time. If this was not the answer, please, whoever wrote it, you can add another clarifying question. And I will, for now, consider it as answered. And the very last question that we got, do you have any suggestions concerning the budget? Was it hard for you to assemble the budget?
Maybe if I may, regarding the budget, for example, what was quite challenging for us was that the budget, you must consider the budget, for example, for the evaluation and selection process, but you need to have some reserve, because you cannot limit the number of applicants, and you don't know in advance how many applicants you will have. So, for example, our management was completely shocked by this information that we cannot control it, and we don't know exactly how much money we will spend this year or that year, and that this must be a bit flexible, that we need to somehow play with some financial reserve. So that's my suggestion, to take this into consideration.
Thank you. This is an important information, I believe. Any other tips on the budget?
Okay, but that's what Martina said. It's very, very good point. I would recommend to prepare, to do the budgeting for the whole proposal, not just the part which will for not just for the European funding, but also for that part which you are going to contribute with. So what we did, we really tried to consider the personnel involved in the implementation. We tried to estimate how many applications we might get. We tried to even estimate how many fellows might come with family and might need family allowance, which we were offering on the top of that of the sum one gets per one fellow from European Commission. So I would recommend complete budgeting. Whatever you can imagine, you could see that we had to prepare website, application portal, engage web designers. We will have to pay, of course, for the evaluation process. So consider everything you can think of.
Thanks a lot for all the suggestions.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So the total budget is important, and include all of the management issues as well, and personnel and dissemination and communication things. When it comes to dissemination of the call, and later on with all of different activities related on that. In our program, we will provide some of the travel and open access costs with our doctoral researchers as well. And these are funded by our university. So we want to encourage for mobility and also with the open data issues. So that's why we included that in our budget. And what else? Yeah, just the doctoral training is a little bit different, so we need to include with the training part also resources and think about if we can utilize the existing graduate school resources on the implementing the training part. So that is one to think about, if you can utilize the existing resources that are there.
Thanks a lot, Henna. As we do not have any more questions, perhaps...
May I?
Yes.
May I have one question for Ilona? I was surprised by one information from your slides. How do you manage to ensure one female applicant for each position?
We again did an estimate. We looked at the percentage of women in physics.
Okay, and if you don't have one female applicant, then
we actually wrote it in such a way so that this condition can be waived. So we wrote what kind of steps we will do to ensure at least one female candidate per position. But also we wrote there that if we do not succeed, the director of the institute can lift this condition from the selection process.
Yeah. I would say that it is quite difficult because we also tried to attract as many women as possible, and still among the 38 eligible applications in the first call, there were only 8 women. So it's really not very good situation.
Yes, I suppose
applicants.
Yeah, I suppose that if we prove that we did all the steps to ensure participation of women in this call, and that we placed our advert on servers which are focused on women in science, etc., etc. So I suppose that's okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for all the inspiring ideas and tips that you shared. Perhaps do you have any final thing you would like to mention, your final message?
I could have a very boring one, maybe. Please do not underestimate the administrative part of the application, because that sometimes can take a long time to fill in, especially if you have many partners involved. And there was one specific problem we encountered, and that was downsizing the huge file with all our letter of commitments to 10 megabytes. So that because every single file had an electronic signature, so one had to first transform them in PDFs, then combine the PDFs, and this was a lengthy and not so easy process, as we found out. So I do not want to end on this administrative part of the application. It was a great fun. We had a good team of people writing. So hopefully those who are applying this year or next year will also manage to get a good team of writers. And maybe one of my colleagues, Henna or Martina, can end up with something more uplifting.
Yes, sorry. My message to those that are going to apply or trying to get the funding is that they should not give up. That even if you don't get the funding for the first time or even for the second time, you can still get it. So just don't give up. And I wish you good luck.
Henna, do you wish to add anything? Any final thought?
No, nothing special. Maybe I just the 3 I's are important. So interdisciplinary, international, and intersectoral. So if you are planning on submitting the proposal, please remember the 3 I's.
Thanks a lot. I would really like to thank again to the speakers for sharing their experience. And as we do not have any more questions, I will start closing this event. So thank you. And I would like to mention that, as Ilona and others said in their presentation, we offer also pre-screening. So if you are in the process of writing, do not hesitate to ask us any question or even share your proposal with us, and we will try as much as possible. We will do our best to help you provide our tips. And also there is a new handbook available. It is not actually available for this particular call yet, but I believe till the end of the year, the 2023 handbook will be also published. So for now we have 2022 handbook, but as the rules haven't really changed since last year, you can use it without any hesitation. And also presentations from today will be shared with you so you can go through them. I will check how the recording looks, if it is publishable. If yes, then this session or the whole information day will be also published on our YouTube channel, so you can go through it and listen to it once again, because the presentations were, I believe, really good, and there were many ideas that you can use while writing your own proposals. So this is it from my side. Thank you for being here. Thank you for staying till the very end. And I hope to see you on another occasion again during any other event that we will organize. Thanks a lot and have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.